everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jay Cowart. I work on the immigration team here at Insight Global. And one of my great privileges at my job is I get to work with Insight Global Health and our international nursing program. So this is the first of 5 panels in a 5-panel series that I'll be hosting for you guys. So we're going to record these and put it on our website for our vendor partners to use. We're just so excited to give you the opportunity to learn more about us and how we're here for you. And we want to assure that you have the best experience possible in the US and through this whole process. So today you're going to hear from our 3 amazing panelists. I'll let them introduce themselves, starting with Rose.
Hi, I'm Rose. I am the Director of Resource Management Center here at Mission Coordination at MultiCare.
I'm the Director of Clinical Education and Development at Insight Global Health for International Nursing.
And I'm Josh Seider. I'm our Vice President of the International Nursing Program, and happy to be here.
Thank you, everybody. Josh, I'd love to start off today's panel by asking you to tell us a little bit more about who we are and what we do at Insight Global Health.
That'd probably be a good place to start.
Yeah.
We're new to the Philippines. And so why don't I tell you guys a little bit about kind of who Insight Global is. Our company, we are a staffing firm at its simplest, an agency. Based here in the United States, specifically Atlanta, Georgia. We started in 2001 and quickly grown to the 2nd largest staffing company in the United States, roughly number 11 in the whole wide world. We have about 70 offices across the country. I say about because our Grid Academy would be our 70th in Manila. And so we have about 65 here in the United States. We have a few in Canada. We have an office in the United Kingdom. We're looking to expand into Germany. And then, of course, come end of September, early October, we will open up the Grid Academy in Manila, which we're really excited about. Like many staffing companies in the United States, we started off by simply staffing IT and non-IT positions across any company that would give us an opportunity. And so as we grew, we got a little bit smarter and decided we should really start siloing our business to focus on technology and to focus on accounting, finance, and engineering. And of course, naturally, healthcare became a big silo for us. So we've been staffing hospital systems in the States for the last 20, 23 years. Now, when the pandemic hit the United States, a lot of our clients, a lot of industries, as you can imagine, finance, oil and gas, travel and transportation, stopped hiring overnight. So we had a lot of people that didn't have positions to recruit on, positions to fill for our clients. And so we took about 800 of those individuals. We're about 4,500 people strong here internally at Insight Global in America. And we pivoted them to just supporting hospitals. And the biggest need that hospitals had was respiratory therapists and nurses due to COVID. And if I don't say so myself, we were pretty good at finding that talent. And so we thought, man, we should really actually create a division that just focuses on hospital systems, that has the ability to identify the talent that hospital systems need across various skill sets. And so we did that, and we launched that about 2 years ago. And as the pandemic continued on, and there was such a massive nurse shortage in America, and hospital systems were financially struggling because of how expensive travel nursing was in the States, we wanted to come up with a different solution. And so we got into the international nursing business. And of course, when you think international nursing, you think nurses in the Philippines because they're so talented, they're so smart, they're so capable, they're gritty, they're resilient. And so we went to the Philippines and we thought, you know what would be great is if we could really contribute to the challenge of the United States by not only joining forces with POEA approved partners to identify the talent, but what if we really trained and educated them to be really successful when they made it to the United States, to be resilient in our hospital system supporting our patients, to be educated, to be confident, and to be excited to join great U.S. hospital systems, and in this case, MultiCare. And so that's what we did. We started up a team of about 15 now, and in September, we opened up the Grid Academy. What's really cool is the Grid Academy is actually already happening, We're just in a little temporary facility while the big Grid Academy is getting ready for grand opening. And we already have nurses that are signing up with us. And we're so honored that people, knowing that we may be a little bit new to the game when it comes to the Philippines, would trust us and would come to the United States with us. And for that, we're going to take great care of them. So that's kind of the story of Insight Global and Insight Global Health, and now the international nursing team that we've assembled and what we look to do.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me a little bit more about why did Insight Global Health decide to take on the challenge of international nursing for Insight Global's U.S. hospital systems clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Simply put, we've always been a solution-oriented company. If a client has a challenge and it's not a service that we offer, we don't just turn away and say we can't do that. We try to find ways to come through for our clients. And in this case, hospital systems needed nurses. And, if you looked at the length of stay for patients in the United States, it was increasing and the shortage was increasing. And hospital systems were spending way too much on travel nurses. And nurses were getting burned out and culture was struggling and hospital systems weren't diverse. And so we thought, you know what, this issue, this challenge sounds similar to something that we had to face, Insight Global did as a company. And we were able to fight a lot of those changes internally as a company. So we thought, well, what if we just did all of what we did to change our company and really globalize it, right? And so we decided to take on that challenge because A, we've been through it before. And B, because nurses deserve a better experience. COVID brought the world to its knees. It scared a lot of people, and we lost a lot of people. And the nurses were on the front lines. I was home, safe, in bed, watching TV, but nurses were on the front lines. That is scary. They deserve more. They deserve a better experience. They deserve fairer pay. They deserve more respect, and we're going to give it to them. And so, it takes a certain type of company, a certain type of person to get into that business, especially right after the pandemic. It's a competitive business, but at the end of the day, we aim to really change things and really offer an amazing experience for our nurses through education and being there every step of the way, from the day they sign up with us to the day they convert to full-time with MultiCare.
Josh, do you think that our philosophy at Insight Global of doing our job really well and treating people really kindly has translated into the international nursing program?
Well, if I'm a nurse in India or the Philippines or South Africa or Australia, and you're not treating me kindly, I'm probably not going to sign up with you and let you be kind of my person to take me to the United States. So I think the way we treat people, with respect and dignity through finding job opportunities, definitely separates us. And that's definitely one of the things that we've brought to the table into this business. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, me too.
So can you tell me more about how has Insight Global Health committed to disrupting the system and changing the landscape of nursing in the United States?
Yeah, I've learned a lot, and I'll talk about the Philippines specifically, but I've learned a lot, about the Philippines, and they have their challenges when it comes to nursing, just like the United States. So one challenge is we've had the opportunity to sit down with a lot of great universities, Cebu Doctors, University of Baguio, St. Louis University in Baguio. And one of the challenges that they have is a lot of times maybe their technology or their nursing mannequins for training and education aren't updated, right? That's a challenge that many universities face. Why is that important? Because it adds and it improves the training and education that nurses get, whether they stay in the Philippines and hospital systems there, or if they decide to deploy to different countries across the world. A lot of times universities will turn down candidates that want to apply and join that university for education because they don't have the educators, right? So what if there was a company that said, you know what, let us partner with you. Let us invest. For lack of better words, I'll take invest back. Let us partner with you to maybe donate or some kind of philanthropic effort to provide some of the mannequins so that you can better train your nurses, right? Let us identify trainers in the United States. Maybe they have a Filipino descent, maybe not, to educate some of your new nurses at that level 1 level and deliver the curriculum that you've created. And hopefully that allows more nurses to sign up and go to school, which increases the nurses coming into the population, right? Which creates more graduates, which creates more nurses for the Philippines. And again, a lot of those nurses don't want to deploy to the United States, and that's great. So I think that's one way that we've disrupted, we making investments in training and education. The other thing too is to my knowledge, the Grid Academy is the first and really only education program of its liking, right? Having people go through a residency as they wait for their visa so that when they land in the United States, they don't have to go through a 13 or 14 week program to speed up getting them to the bedside is really important, right? Especially when you compensate them for that training. That's a big deal, right? And so, we like some of the things that we've done. We're going to keep on kind of living along that vein and doing the things that we think has set us apart. And at the end of the day, it's up to whoever else that decides to get into this business to be creative and do things and really show up for the nurse. And so that's what we want to do is we just want to show up for the nurse. And the last thing I'll say is just the experience. A lot of times from what I've heard and what I've researched, nurses just don't know where they stand. They don't know where they stand in their visa. They don't know where they stand, in their screening process. They don't know where they stand with the end client hospital system. And a lot of times they just don't hear from their agencies. And that's unfortunate, right? And so really making sure that our nurses know exactly where they stand in the process, being responsive, being alert, checking in proactively is really important to us. And that's really one of our key pillars to being successful in this program. It's just being transparent and showing up for our nurses and making sure they know where they stand. And that's one of our shared values, and we live that every day.
Thank you, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
The next question I'll direct to Dr. Arnold. So as an international nurse yourself, why is the IGH program something that you would do or something that you would recommend for other nurses globally?
Thank you so much, Jay, for the question. I would say, as a nurse who has gone through the transition myself and having had the firsthand experience on transitioning from the Philippines to the Middle East and to the United States, I can say that our international transition to practice program that we are delivering at the Grid Academy really provides a more holistic approach in preparing our nurses as they set their lives up here in the United States. So traditionally, majority of the staffing companies, what they usually do is they bring the nurses here in the US, and then once they're here, then they put them in the hospital or the healthcare system, and then have their clinical transition to practice. But what they usually forget is that these are actually new people in a new environment who might not have the basic know-how on how am I going to set up my life here in the US while also trying to survive their new healthcare settings, right? So at the Grid Academy in our international transition to practice program, not only are we preparing them clinically so that they can integrate well in their new healthcare settings, we also include various modules in our program that prepares them on how they can assimilate as new residents of their community. As these were some of the things that I really struggled, when I was new. Like, I didn't know where to go to get my social security card. I didn't know how to set up my bank accounts. So basing on my experience, I really felt the need to incorporate that in our transition to practice. And at IGH, we understand the importance of the right preparation when you are making a life move, because this is a very big move for all our nurses, coming from outside the United States. Again, moving into a new country with a different culture and a lot of nuances in terms of the processes that they're not familiar with. And if you ask me whether I'll recommend or whether I'll attend or whether there's a need for this program, I would say 101% that there is a need for this one based on my experience. And I think the beautiful thing about it is that this program is not just built by anybody. It is actually built by a nurse who has gone through the process. And this is being built for the nurses who will be going through the process. So when I say that, I understand how you feel. I literally do understand how you feel as a new nurse transitioning or migrating to the United States, because I've been there.
Arnold, when you first started out, did you wish something like Grid Academy existed?
Definitely. As what I said, it can be very scary for someone who doesn't have any basic know-how or who doesn't have any idea as to what to expect when you move to somewhere new. As much as I was confident that I can speak in English, other than that, I didn't really know what to expect culturally, right? Because the United States is a melting pot for culture and for different people. So when I came in here, I wished that I would have gone through some some program or some preparation that will help set me up for success here in the United States. So when I received the call from Josh late last year to actually join the program and lead the International Transition to Practice program, I never had second thoughts, because I was like, oh my God, like this is something that I would have wanted for myself. So I feel like I am paying it forward to the next generation of nurses who's going to be moving into the United States.
Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so this next question I will address to both Arnold and Rose. We'll start off with Arnold. Arnold, can you start by telling us a little bit about what your experience was as an international nurse? And Rose, can you tell us what has MultiCare, who has partnered with IGH, done to assure that international nurses have a really good experience after they arrive in the US and the workplace?
Okay, so in terms of my experience, I would say it was not a bad experience, but it could have been better. And I guess this is where then the concept of integrating a lot of these training programs that we have now in our International Transition to Practice program to make sure that the experience for our nurses who will be going through the migration process will be the best experience that they'll have. So that they won't have to worry about whether I'll be okay when I move to the US, because we got them, like we have everything prepared and sorted up with them. And what we are really doing is really a sort of partnership with them as they move through this journey. I would say as well that we are really doing our best to prepare from the education and training side. So IGH and MultiCare has been doing a lot of educating the educators, or the trainers part, to ensure that we prepare our nurses so that they feel competent and confident when they start their lives here in the US, both as a US resident and as a US registered nurse. Personally, I actually even went through a training and immersion program myself at the MultiCare University, just to make sure that whatever we will be doing at the Great Academy in the Philippines is really aligned to the Transition to Practice program at the MHS system. And we also made sure that our US-based educators are culturally sensitive. So we did a cultural awareness program for them, just to make sure that they are able to support our Filipino nurses or Filipino learners as they go through the program. Aside from that, myself and Josh has partnered up with the Philippine Nurses Association in Oregon and Washington State, just to make sure that our nurses have also professional support. Because I believe that I think Rose will talk more about this, MultiCare has a robust program in terms of preparing some community supports for them. So from the professional side of it, we wanted to make sure that, yes, they come to the United States, they have friends and even professional colleagues that they can lean onto if they need some support.
Thank you. Yeah, to segue with what Arnold had said. So on MultiCare, we know Washington is a very diverse state. So we deal with several different cultures, and it is hard to be in a culture that you're not familiar with. So we are under the premise of we want to make sure we set up the nurses for success. I myself, working with a couple of the leaders, Cyril and Ralph, who really also have been an international nurses. They themselves came in here as an H-1B. So we learned from those group of people, what's lacking when you first started here. So getting their information, getting in what they had experienced, we want them to change it and to make sure that we provide that support from all the way from housing, from transportation, from banking, from where to shop, where's the best place to eat, right? Especially if you like Filipino food. Some of them will have a hard time eating American food at the beginning, but then there's lots of places that, we can give them the tips on where to go. As Arnold had mentioned, also from banking, we want to make sure that we set them up for that, because part of that is very important, not just the learning from how to care for a patient, but really for themselves. They need to be able to take care of themselves first, and so that they can provide the best care for our patient. We are going to partner them with the staff on the units. So even as Arnold had mentioned, they've gone through some training to be culturally sensitive, because we all coming from different culture. We all talk differently. We say things differently. what one word might mean to one might not be to the other. So we have to be, want to make sure that, but be sensitive to the different culture. So we will partner and we'll make sure that they partner up with somebody on the unit so that the unit can support. There's somebody in resource. Education department have been working very well, much into training them on the different the policies, procedure. As we all know, we take care of patient, but hospital to hospital is different when it comes to policies. Pumps, IV pumps, monitors, they're all different from one hospital to another. We want to make sure that we set them up because the bottom line, they're going to be caring for the patient. We want to make sure they feel confident and competent in caring for those patients. So, we welcome them. We can't wait to get the international nurses here, the Filipino nurses here, because we know they all work hard. That's their motto, is to work hard. They're hardworking Filipino nurses.
Thank you so much, Rose. So my last question I'll address to everyone here. So from your perspectives, can you please explain what exactly Grid Academy is and what we're wanting to accomplish there?
So maybe I can go first. From an education perspective, I know that the concept of Grid Academy is it being a training facility, but for me, it is actually more than that. It is more than a training facility because I believe that it is their main tool or their vessel to achieve their American dream. And what we really would want to achieve for them is to make sure that we prepare our nurses so that, as Rose mentioned, we want them to feel competent and confident as they start their lives here in the United States, both as a U.S. resident and as a U.S. registered nurse. And I am 100% sure that we will achieve this by delivering a U.S.-based international transition to practice program with state-of-the-art facilities and equipment there at the Grid Academy.
I think for me, it's just having a place that they can really enhance their skills, their ability to care for those patients, and to provide the very best and safe care to the patients.
I would answer that question by saying selecting a partner to help you migrate you and your family to the United States is a big decision. And we wanted the population of the Philippines, universities, hospitals, POEA, and of course the nurses to know that we are here to stay, and that we would not have done this if we weren't going to follow through on our word to create an amazing experience for you and your families. And so we're just excited to be a part of it, and hopefully you see that we're here to stay when you start seeing pictures of our facility and you start hearing about the wonderful experiences that our nurses are going to be having because they went through the Grid Academy. So that's how I would answer that question.
Thank you. I'd love to follow that up with, does every international nurse have to attend Grid Academy?
From a training perspective, I would say yes. And again, I'm basing that on my experience as someone who has transitioned. I just really feel the value of it. It has really added, I can say that it will add value to their experience and their preparation as they move to the United States.
It depends from which country you come, right? If you are living in India, that you have a different pathway. But if you're in the Philippines, keep in mind the training and education program that we architected in the Grid Academy is based on the education that Filipino nurses get in the Philippines, the experiences that they have, the schooling that they have, and the hospitals that they work in, right? So it's really architected specifically for the Filipino nurse to make sure that they are perfect when they get to the United States. And so if you're coming from the Philippines, the answer is, yeah, you have to go through the Grid Academy in Manila for now, right? We're looking to open up more Grid Academies all over the Philippines because we understand there's a lot of schools and people are located all over the place. But for now, you got to go through that training. And we know that's different, but man, it is so worth it. And what Arnold has created is impeccable. And we hope that you stick with us, because once you get to the United States and you get to Tacoma, Washington, and you step foot into Rose's department, you'll understand why going to the Grid Academy was so important. And the flip side of that coin is we're going to make Grid Academy really, really special. We know that our nurses are taking time from their family to be in Manila at the Grid Academy. We know that that's challenging. But we hope that compensating our nurses while they're in training, while taking it seriously, while hiring the best in class trainers and educators, while investing in technology and sparing no coin and investing in really great simulation technology and equipment, I think you'll see the importance of Grid Academy. So long story short, yes, but it's a great experience. And you
Thank
get one of these
you.
really cool Grid Academy pins, among other things that you get once you graduate from the Grid Academy. And I promise you we'll make it special.
Thank you, Josh. So my last question before we end our panel here today, I'll ask everybody just in a few words, could you please tell me what is it that you're most proud of working with this program?
Rose, why don't you start us off?
So I guess for me, it's most proud of is, having the right training for those nurses to be prepared, whether it's caring for the patient, but at the same time with the culture. Just having that, because then it turns into being able to provide the best care to the patient.
Great answer. Arnold, go ahead.
Okay, so I think from my side, I would say, aside from, of course, I'm proud that this program will really enhance their nursing skills and competencies and provide safe nursing care. I would say that I'm really proud that we have a program that actually gives back to the country, to the Philippines, because in a way, we are actually sharing what we have here in the United States in terms of technology, the education side of it. So I haven't seen any other organizations who are doing that yet, especially from the staffing side. So yeah, that really makes me very proud as a Filipino.
Yeah, I think for me, it's not all countries and educational systems are created equal. Unfortunately, there's disparities, and so we all know that nurses from countries like India and countries like South Africa and countries like Uganda and countries like the Philippines will come to the United States and they will support their family back home. And that means that their nieces and nephews and cousins and sisters and brothers get the opportunity to use that money to go to school and potentially become nurses and doctors and architects. And I'm just super proud that we are creating the pathway for people to get to the United States and be able to support their family back home. And that creates generational change. And that feels so good to make that impact and get to do that while I'm working with all my friends at Insight Global Health and have a great US client in MultiCare there every step of the way. So that's why I get up in the morning. So that's my answer.
Thank you so much. Well, I'd love to extend a big thank you to all three of you panelists for joining us today, as well as a thank you to everybody for tuning in. Check back later, please, and see more as we explore other topics around immigration and the H-1B visa process, the EB-3 visa process, and to learn more about our program, more about Insight Global Health, and what our international nursing program in the U.S. holds for you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.